afternoon. I'm Ingrid Malone. I'd like to call the 2022 CCU annual meeting to order.
Our purpose of having this meeting is to inform and to be informed. We're not on. Oh, I'm not on. Hold on. Hold, please. Am I on? Ha-ha. You're awake. This is God speaking. All right, let's do this again. The purpose of our meeting, our annual meeting, is to inform and to be informed. It is a community voice that we call together to share all of what we've accomplished and all that we are holding in high vision for the upcoming months of 2022. So we will take today to review all that we have done, and we will look and take vote on our budget and all of the reasoning for this new budget. We will elect our new officers, or not our officers, our board of trustees. We have 3 positions that we will be electing and an alternate this year. And we also have 1 proposed bylaw change. If you're a voting member, you have your materials, you have the ability to vote online. And if you are not a voting member, I commend you for being here, to knowing and to being informed and sharing your voice with us. We take direction at CCU very, very well. So I will remind you of our mission statement, or our purpose, is that Christ Church Unity is a welcoming community. We are dedicated to transforming lives, celebrating diversity, and supporting soul growth. It is my hope that you will see that in demonstration through our presentation today. Setting the intention, we are affirming, we confidently embrace the activity of life, affirming God as our source and love as our guide. Before we go much further, let's take this affirmation into prayer. So I will invite you to take a deep breath. Close your outer eyes if you are comfortable and safe doing so, mostly for our friends watching online. And let us hold this affirmation in prayer. We confidently embrace the activity of life, and we recognize that we are that activity. We are God in action. We see God and we hear God and we communicate as the divine through one another each and every day. We know and acknowledge and affirm and accept the truth that God is our source and supply. And so we lay down any feeling of lack, of limitation, of fear. In doing so, let us open our hearts and our minds more fully to the idea, to the possibility, to the knowingness that we are in action, in alignment, in truth. Our highest good is unfolding, and we are so grateful to be in the reception of the abundant blessings that come through CCU, that come to CCU, and that are expressed out into the community beyond as CCU. For taking this responsibility and taking this charge and shining our lights brightly in truth. We are so grateful, we are so honored, and we are so privileged. So there's nothing to do but express gratitude and saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. And now it is my privilege to turn this meeting over to our 2022 board president, Ingrid Malone.
Thank you, Reverend Maggie, and thank you all for coming. Our first order of business is to ask our outgoing president, Kay, to please read the minutes from last year's annual meeting.
Thank you, Ingrid. So the meetings are going to be voted upon, so I need to read them. I'll read them as fast as I can so we can not be here for a long, long period of time. So CCU annual meeting minutes, February 21st, 2021. Location, CCU Main Sanctuary. In attendance, CCU congregation, Don Barton, Corey Snook, Maureen Chance, Phil Palumbo, Kay Taylor, Sonny Van Mutius. Prepared by Sonny Van Mutius. Meeting started at 12:07 p.m. Don Barton, pray in and welcome. CCU mission statement and affirmation for the meeting, and we reviewed the agenda. Don Barton introduced the incoming board president, Sonny Van Mutius. Sonny Van Mutius, reading of the board trustees' qualification in section 404A of the CCU bylaws. Call for additional nominations from the floor, none made, and closed nominations. Introduce vote counters, Maureen Chance, Carmen Azeri, and Donald Cadman. Sharing of the introduction videos from the board nominees, Nora Miles, Ingrid Malone, Michael Angeles, Loana Perez, Corey Snook. Instructed in-person members to utilize their ballot by circling 3 names, noting that the person with the next highest vote would become the Board of Trustees alternate. Those online should participate in the online poll through Zoom. Online voting closes when the ushers have collected all the ballots in the sanctuary. Don Barton, appreciation of the current board members, acknowledgement of the challenges of the 2020 board faced dealing with the pandemic and searching for a new minister, presented on outgoing board president Corey Snook with a thank you gift for his service, invited current and past board members, president and members to stand and be acknowledged, Corey Snook and Don Barton, 2020 year in review. Staff acknowledged for their response to the COVID-19, handling sanitation, scaling back costs, and more. Appreciation for Reverend Faith Cotter, Reverend Harold Correa, and Hank Lewis, LUT, for Sunday talks and teaching classes over the 6 months we were without a senior minister, which was great. Highlights of the outreach team, kids and teens ministry, prayer chaplains, pastoral care, music, and creative teams were presented. Phil Palumbo and Don Barton, Treasurer's Report, reviewed the 2020 cash in versus expenditures with explanation of how COVID-19 has impacted the finances. 2021 proposed budget, presented with a $17,400 deficit at the end of the year. Sonny Van Mutius called to approve the 2021 budget as presented, asked for questions on the budget, none presented. Voted to approve the budget as presented. Motion by Nora Miles, seconded by Pam Johnson, passed by unanimous vote. Sonny Van Mutius, reading of the 2020 minutes, asked for corrections, none presented. Called for a vote to approve minutes for the 2020. Motion by Carrie Whaley, seconded by Nora Miles, passed by unanimous vote. Sonny Van Mutius called for nomination for chair for the 2022 Board Nomination Committee. Maureen Chance was nominated by Kay Taylor. Maureen accepted. Motion to accept. Maureen was made by Carla Mickley and seconded by Ingrid Malone, passed by unanimous vote. Sonny Van Mutius, approval of the new bylaws. Revision Subcommittee was chaired by Kay Taylor with Pam Johnson and Hank Lewis as members. Bylaws were placed on CCU's website for all to review in advance, and all emailed questions were addressed and resulted in no changes to the new bylaws. Vote to approve the bylaws as presented. Motion by Diana Cox, seconded by John Bergstrom, passed by majority vote. Sonny Van Mutius announcement of the 2021 board election results in no particular order. Ingrid Malone, Loana Perez, Michael Angelos, with Nora Miles as the alternate. Appreciation for all who ran to be on the board. Sonny Van Mutius and Don Barton, open question and answers. Member inquired why there wasn't anything in the budget for marketing. Don answered that because the budget is at deficit and includes only truly necessary expenses. Member follow-up with congregation to have a stronger social media presence. Don encouraged congregants to volunteer to help with social media and to be active and engaged to support the church. Member suggested that the marketing subcommittee be created. Online member asked if there are financial requirements for CCU to be a part of Unity. Don answered, no, we are covered under their nonprofit umbrella. We do agree to abide by Unity teachings and provide an annual report to them. We do tithe to them often. Online, member asked how much we have in reserve. Don answered $31,000. Clarified that we did receive the PPP loan for 2021, and that's already factored into the budget, and the deficit presented and approved. Ingrid Malone challenged the congregation To bring friends and to take responsibility for the health and the growth of the church. Don Barton, pray out and repeat of affirmation for meeting. Meeting concluded at 1:11 p.m.
Thank you, Kay. Are there any corrections to the minutes? I have a little one. In the first instance of my name, my last name was misspelled. And there are other instances in the minutes where it is spelled correctly. So any questions, let me know. Any other corrections to the minutes from last year? All right. I need to hear a motion to approve the minutes. All day today, I want to ask you to clearly identify yourself when you do make a motion, whether that's to make the motion or to second the motion, because as you've just heard, these become part of the records of the minutes. Also, when we are taking votes, you received a voting card as a part of your packet for today. And so this is how we distinguish who here are members versus non-members. And so I need you to hold up your card, please. So I'll be asking you to do that when we vote on these few things today. So with that, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the 2021 minutes. I hear that John Bergstrom made that motion to approve the minutes. Do I hear a second? I hear Pam Johnson made the motion to second. And so I'd like to ask those who are all in favor, raise your voting card. Any opposed would raise your voting card at this time. Seeing no opposition, we will accept the minutes of last year's board meeting. Thank you. Our next order of business is board elections. So I'm going to read to you the section of the bylaws dealing with the board elections. This is from Article 6, Section 2A of the CCU bylaws. Board of Trustees qualifications. To be eligible to be elected to the Board of Trustees, a person must be an active member of Christ Church Unity for at least 1 year. Candidates for election shall endeavor to live in accord with the Jesus Christ principles of love and truth as taught by Unity Worldwide Ministries and have the desire and time to serve on the Board of Trustees. Further the work of this ministry through his/her active interest, love, support, and tithes. Is a sincere and continuing student of Unity and is conversant with its teachings. Has demonstrated leadership capabilities. And last, shall be conversant with these bylaws and guidelines for Unity Board effectiveness. So now let me introduce our nominees in no particular order. Leroy Gentry, Pam Johnson, Nora Miles, and Ann Winston. And next we'll be viewing a video from each of them.
My name's Harold Leroy Gentry, and I use my full name because Alice always liked to use her full name. I go by Leroy. Now, back when my partner and I were looking for a church, we tried a few out and found that Christ Church Unity was the one that fulfilled all my needs. And I love the expression, my butt fit the seat. So I've been here for over 10 years now, most of us with Alice, and I appreciate Alice very much. I also appreciated Dorothy Moore. She taught me how to pray. She gave me confidence that everything was okay and introduced me to some spiritual gifts during that time I was with her. I also appreciate Edwin Gaines. She was here many years ago. She taught me how to tithe. She taught me how to make my prayers more authentic so God can hear them and answer my prayer. So I enjoy being here with you, and I'm looking forward to being with Maggie for the next year.
Hello, my name is Ann Winston, and I am a proud member of CCU Orlando and a student of the Course in Miracles. About 8 years ago, I stumbled upon CCU when I attended my very first Course in Miracles class here on this campus. I had never heard of CCU before that, but I started attending service and I became a member a year after. I've served in many different capacities in this church. I served on the youth and teen ministry as a spiritual mentor to the teens. I also helped in the outreach ministry, Stop the Waste, Feed the Hungry, helping to prepare meals and going out in the community and feeding the homeless. I also became a prayer chaplain a few years ago, and currently I serve as a prayer chaplain emeritus, which means that every week I get to pray for people who have prayer requests. So now I feel like I am called to serve in a different capacity, so I'm willing to run for a seat on the board. I do believe that I have skills and gifts and talents that I can share and help to make a meaningful contribution to this institution where I am spiritually fed. I have a master's degree in management and leadership. I also had a prior career in banking for over 10 years. So I have finance, banking, money management background. So I really hope that I am given an opportunity to serve on the board because I believe very strongly in the mission of this church, especially embracing diversity. I'm part of a minority group, and I would really love to represent that group on the board. So vote for me. Thank you.
Namaste. My name is Pam Johnson. I am a proud and joyful member of the CCU community and family, and have been for the last 14 years. I am very grateful for all of the connections I have, spoken and unspoken, within this community. It is because of my past service and past experience that I feel called to again offer my services to serve on this board. And so if you choose to vote for me, I look forward to being part of a team that will help contribute to the growth of this church and support Reverend Maggie as we grow and evolve as a community. And so it is because of that that I look forward to being able to participate, and I ask for your vote and support. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Nora Miles, and I'm running for the Board of Trustees. I came to CCU in November of 2009. A friend brought me here. She never returned. I never left. During that time, I have served in so many different positions, from washing dishes to being the board president and everything in between that one could possibly imagine. One thing that has become evident during my tenure here is that my heart is full of service, and I get excited and want to thrive on serving the community and the ministry and my fellow human beings. So that's primarily why I'm running for the board. I'm ready and willing to roll up my sleeves and to get to work in support of this community. I appreciate you all, and I love you all. Thank you so much for your consideration. Have a wonderful afternoon.
What a great slate of candidates we have. And I'm so thankful for all of you for running. So the procedure for voting, we have our voting cards, and we have counters. Today's counters are Craig Barton, Don Cadman, and Carmen Irizarry. And I thank you guys for being willing to perform this very important service for us. We'll be using our voting cards to circle the names of 3 people you wish to serve on the board. So we have 3 openings, as you heard earlier. The person with the next highest votes will be the alternate, and that person is a non-voting member of the board. And so those of you who are participating online, thank you all also for coming. And I think we've mentioned before that if you're attending by YouTube or Facebook, unfortunately, you will not have the option to vote. However, if you are watching from Zoom, you're going to see a poll come up, and that will give you an opportunity to select by clicking 3 names. And so while our counters here are counting the in-person votes, we're also going to be counting the results of that poll and combining that to arrive at the vote. So once we get done voting here and those forms are collected, we will be signaling the end of the online vote. So we'll have a few minutes. So I'll ask you now, after having considered the information in your packets, as well as the videos and in prayer, to make your votes. And we'll give you a few moments to do that and collect them. Please signal me when all the in-person votes have been collected. So those of you who are voting online via Zoom, you're just going to have another moment or two to make your selections. Please go ahead and wrap up your votes online. Thank you. And we are ready to wrap up the online vote. Thank you all. So we'll continue with our other business while the counters are counting our votes. Reverend Maggie? The next order of business is to express some appreciation for our current board, our past board presidents, and our members.
Where there is space created for new leadership, there must be acknowledgement for the hard work, dedication, and appreciation that those who are rolling off the board have. So Phil Palumbo is leaving, and we had 2 presidents this year. I commend that we kept our board intact for the whole year in a very interesting year, one that caused us to pivot and be deep in prayer. So in that, I want to offer deep gratitude and appreciation for the board president who had a very close hand in bringing me here and bringing me to be your spiritual leader. And it was a great surprise to find deep, meaningful partnership with Sunny Von Mudius. Sunny's not going to come up here because she is a true servant and she is womaning our Zoom call and making sure that our online participants have the information accessible as we move through this meeting. Through prayer and contemplation, Sunny, thank you, Vanna. Through prayer and contemplation, and through honoring herself at about the little later than midpoint, Sunny needed to step out of the role of president, but we had a board stay intact. So in that, we operated in not having our vice president, then Kay Taylor, to assume the role of president. And I had an opportunity to witness her move with ease and grace, to flex the muscle of faith and love, keeping a cool head and not being reactionary, but patient and kind in her responses. So I want to take a moment to honor Kay for the work that you did, for your leadership that you demonstrated, and for being a fantastic partner on the board. Everybody, let's clap for Kay Taylor. And Phil Palumbo then came from a quiet place with his dinner. To know Phil is to know that he's always eating. And he easily, quickly, without even skipping a beat, fully embraced the role of being in our vice president role. I got to know Phil by watching the perpetual updates online of where we were in the ministry in search for our senior minister. And he has shared his time and his talent and his treasure faithfully and unconditionally with us. I will miss you being in service on the board, and thank you for all that you have done, sir. It's a bag full of food.
Thank you so much. The next order of business is to bring Kay back up here. She's going to read to you, not as lengthy as the minutes, I promise, but a very lengthy list of accomplishments from this past year.
Thank you, Ingrid. And I want to also thank Sunny so much for all of her insight and all of her expertise that brought about many of these accomplishments for CCU. As you know, it was a hard year last year, and we all prayed hard together, and we all stayed together to have these accomplishments, which we are really proud of. So the Board of Trustee accomplishments, the Kamoti Foundation video, hired Reverend Maggie Altman, yay, as Senior Minister March 1st, promoted Reverend Don Barton to Associate Minister, yay, attended year-long board training with Martha Creek, she's fabulous, hosted connection luncheons with the staff, hosted mid-year town hall meeting, approval of branding program and adoption of new name, Unity of Central Florida. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! You'll hear more about that forthcoming. Formed the COVID-19 phased reopening task team. Thank you, Nor. That was a tough job. Consolidation updated and made additions to CCU policy and procedure manual. Thank you, Ingrid. Sold memorial stones, netting $1,700, which touched many hearts. Ministry facilitated 3 new member classes, 24 people, including our first completely virtual member. Yes, thank you, Sunny. 4 adult education classes, Anatomy of the Spirit, the 5 Principles, Lost in Transition, the 4 Agreements. First collaborative class with 7 other Unity churches, which is really cool. Introduced 2 new special services, Dia de los Muertos, yeah, that was good, and Blue Christmas. I did take Spanish once. I didn't pass. Test piloted Spanish worship services. Began producing weekly promotional videos for online media. Yay, team. Celebrated Unity Worldwide Day of Prayer, which is awesome. The staff addressed leveling up findings and recommendations, transparencies, better communication, rebuilding trust. Applied for and received $2,000 for the Loaves and Fishes grant, is that supposed to be grant, from Unity Worldwide Ministries. Applied for and received $53,750 payroll protection payments. Oh, thank you, Don. Applied for and received $4,382 HUG, H-U-G, grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries. Thank you so much. Virtually attended Unity People's Convention in June. Repainted the offices. Reduced operating expenses by $38,000, 9% from 2020. That's an accomplishment. Repaired and replaced AC units, with $9,850 special donations. Fabulous, fabulous. Replaced 8 cordless microphones with $4,320 special donations. Also fabulous. Raised over $200 in recycling electronic devices. Cool. Outreach. Assembled snack packs for the monthly distribution, sold 300 scarves and hats, raising $500, many of which were redonated to the homeless, which they really appreciated. Collected and donated 3 carloads of toys and clothes to Pine Lock Elementary School, and raised $1,200 to promote Come Out with Pride presents, introduce CCU to hundreds, which was cool. Landscaping. Volunteers on site weekly, weeding, trimming, fertilizing, etc. Thank you, Phil. Organized a group for day-long deep cleanup of grounds. Raised $4,100 to have the dead trees removed and the tree canopy trimmed, which is a great donation. Prayer chaplains. 7 current chaplains and 5 Emeritus chaplains made over 2,000 monthly calls to members. Wow. Fabulous, fabulous. Connected with over 500 personal prayers and leaving 1,500 prayers on voicemail, which I love mine because I can listen to it over and over and over again when I need to. I love that. So thank you. Prayed in person with people on Sundays over 250 times under the oak trees. Kids and teen ministry. Resumed in-house Sunday classes, planned and led another successful summer camp for 17 children, beautifully painting of our first-time visitor parking spaces, which is really cool out there. Shifting Souls Boutique hosted 17 monthly drum circles, which are really cool. 783 attendees, $3,415 in donations, which is really neat. Sponsored 8 online meditations, 5 Twin Hearts meditations, 4 laughter yoga. I need to do that. 4 static dance, 8 psychometric phytometry, thank you, classes, 7 intuitive development classes, and 21 Reiki sessions. Thank you.
Celebrate. That is just wonderful. Thank you, Kay. The next order of business is a bylaws update. This is a vote to change the requirement to elect the incoming board president from the last board meeting before the annual meeting to the first board meeting after the annual meeting. So this will change Article 6, Section 14, Board of Trustees officers. The officers of the Board of Trustees shall be a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer, and we're looking to remove the following text. The president shall be elected at the last regular board meeting prior to the annual membership meeting, after which meeting all other officers of the board shall be elected at the meeting of the Board of Trustees. And we're going to replace with all officers will be selected at the first board meeting after the annual meeting or at a special meeting called for the purpose of selecting officers. All officers shall be elected by a majority of the board members present and voting. The term of office shall be 1 year or until successors are elected or qualified. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the bylaws update. I see a motion from Christy and, forgive me, Davis. Sure. Sure. The reason that it was suggested, and anyone else who is a part of this is welcome to come and grab the mic and add some explanation as well. It is intended because it was awkward for us coming into this election cycle, having to think about who was going to lead us in the coming year and appoint that person even outside of these elections. Actually, I don't feel like I'm explaining this very well. I'd like to phone a friend. Thank you.
Sure. Couple reasons. One is just logistics, because we have 6 members on our board. Every year, 3 board members roll off. By having the election before the meeting, the annual meeting when we elect new people, only the 3 people that are going to retain their membership going forward can be elected to the board, because the other 3 will lose their position on the board. If someone steps down from the board, one of those additional people that should have remained for another year, they would have been replaced by the alternate, and their term expires at the end of the year. So you could have, and we had this last year, only 2 members of the board that were coming forward, which means the president of the board for the next year is forced to be one of those 2 people. And it may not be the best qualified person out of the 6 people that are on the board that gets elected the very next meeting. So that's why we want to give more opportunity for the board to look at all of the candidates once the new slate is elected and decide amongst themselves who really of the 6 of them has the best qualifications to lead the board, and not just whoever is on their last year. Because by definition, then that person will probably be off the board next year, and you could never have a successive president and any continuation of skills and experience, because they would, by definition, have to be off the board the next year for those reasons. Does that make sense? Okay. No, if they were in their 2nd year and they got elected to be president at the last meeting before the annual meeting, then their presidency would last less than a month, because their term ends when their replacements are elected. Yeah. Anything else? Okay.
I wanted to clarify for the minutes that was Mark Biebermeyer with a point of information.
Clarification, yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions about the suggested change? All right. So I think we heard a motion to approve, and I'd like to entertain a second. I saw Nora's flag first. So we're going to let the record reflect that Nora Miles seconded the motion. All those in favor, please raise your voting cards. All those opposed? Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next is our treasurer's report. And we're going to ask Reverend Don and Michael to please come give our treasurer report. They're going to be talking about some financial highlights from the year, and then also presenting our budget.
Oh, cool. They did the right one. Michael is your board treasurer, so I'm going to defer to him to go over the financial statements and propose the budget. We'll start with the balance sheet, which is you should have a copy of in front of you, one of your handouts. That'll be this one.
We're going to have it up here now.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, guys. First, I want to start off by thanking Reverend Don for making my life easy for the last year. We truly are blessed to have him as far as treasurer reports, having an accountant on hand. So again, thank you, Don. Appreciate it. All right. So I'll go over this pretty quick because this is really dry, but fun and important. So as far as assets, cash operating reserves on hand, $68,743. Bookstore inventory, which we have reduced greatly, $15,243. Our property and equipment at cost, building and improvements, we're at a value of $1,081,302. Land value at $249. Furniture and equipment at a depreciated value of $82,505. Net amortized loan costs, we're at $2,422 with total assets at $1,899,215. Liabilities, accounts, credit cards payable, 9952, tithes payable, 6172, mortgage debt outstanding, we hit under the 300,000 mark, 298, 887, total liabilities at $315,014. Total net worth assets, $1,584,201. Total liability and equity, $1.899 million, $215. So, any questions on that? This is the dry stuff. All right.
I find it fascinating. I don't know. What
I
you're
know.
talking
Don does. Alrighty.
Yeah, so we'll go to the income statement. You can just go over those highlights.
Okay, so we're going to go over the income statements, which is right in the middle here. 2021 total revenue was almost $472,000. This was down by $59,000 from 2021, so we managed to cut a lot of cost. 2021 had a few months of pre-pandemic income, which was received, $20,000 less in PPP funding for 2021. Direct cost for 21 increased $7,000 over 2020, mainly due to writing off of obsolete bookstore inventory. While total administration costs for 2021 exceeded 2021, the result of being shut down for 6 months in 2020 and only having online Sunday services. Building and grounds costs remained fairly consistent over the year. Payroll expenses we did take a big decrease of $61,000 as staff retired, resigned, and positions have not yet been filled. We are working more efficiently with less. So kudos to our team. Just lost my spot. All right, this also enabled us to pay down our mortgage balance over $23,000. So, while it seemed like rough times, we lived in prosperity, guys. Okay?
Yes, we did.
So, moving ahead, we wanted you guys to get involved. We're proposing 2 different budgets this year, okay? We're presenting 2 possible budgets for your consideration, and we'd like to have your approval of one of them. The first budget will be what we call the stagnant budget, which reflects CCU's continuing business as based upon receiving gifts and spending. The board chose to present you with this budget as a a conservative option. Now, we also have discussed our visionary budget, which is based upon the stagnant budget with the following additions we affirm happening in 2022. Read the list.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's
you guys
your
have
list.
the list? All right.
They don't. You do.
Okay.
You have to read it.
You guys don't have this. All right. Payroll 3% across the board starting April. Most of our staff has not had raises in 5 to 7 years. So we had agreed to a 3% increase. Creative director budget added back in at $15,000 for the year starting in January. We've been working without and we felt it. But thank you to Walter, who I don't believe is here today. He's online. Walter, thank you. So we're wanting to add that back at $15,000 starting in January. We would like to include an advertising budget added into a total of $400 per month, okay? Savings, okay? We want to save a minimum of $1,000 for a month for reserves and replacements starting in March. Travel expenses, $8,000 a year starting in January. This is for sending Reverend Maggie and Don to Unity headquarters as far as finding us different types of grants, and there's a lot of benefit to it. Tech upgrades, we need it. Online people, all right? You guys want to see us? We need this.
Lighting.
Lighting, right, you know. I could actually look more handsome if we had good lighting, you know. This is work. All right, So tech upgrades up to $7,500 for matching, okay? These are matching funds from Unity Worldwide Ministry starting in May. So they want to match us. So this is important. And rebranding $500 a month starting February through June. So we will be Unity of Central Florida. See the vision, all right? Yes?
That will be the difference between what is the stagnant button, the stagnant column, and then you go to the visionary column, and those differences will show up if you compare one to the other as you go down the list. Yeah, that's a good portion of it. Yeah, some of it will be in payroll. Yeah. Where you see the discrepancies in those two columns, stagnant and visionary, is where all of these different pieces will fit in.
Okay.
And then the corresponding part to that is on the very top of the income section, you'll see the last line before total income is increased income. And in the visionary budget, the total of all those things that we want to bring forth in the coming year totals a little over $55,000, which is just about $1,000 a week. And we feel as a board in a prosperity consciousness and following the trends of very recent giving to come up with an additional $55,000 over what we did last year without PPP money is very doable. And we'll add these things in and do them as the money manifests itself. Diana?
How do you propose for the building and grounds expenses to be reduced almost 10,000? In either case?
It goes from 46 to 38.
Right.
Because the 38 is basically our basic
Okay.
required expenses without anything unexpected happening.
Okay, I didn't know if you had a new contractor. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, go ahead. Out loud.
Any other questions? Online people will need you.
Any other questions? Anything online? Christy, did you have a question?
I didn't know if you guys were done. Right here, so the online
Thank you, Carmen. Hello. Okay, so I just want to be clear, so the visionary budget, I'm looking at other costs down there. The 23,000, it looks like is a different. What is in that other cost? What is in that category?
The travel expenses for $8,000 a year, the tech upgrades of $7,500, the advertising budget, and the rebranding.
Okay. All right. And then on the payroll, so there's like 20 grand different. That's what you're talking about for the marketing person, or what are we doing
That's
there?
if we add back the marketing person that we don't have right now, and we figure in a 3% raise for staff
raise.
starting in
Okay.
March.
Okay. And then, what else was I looking at? Creative director. The phone and internet. I'm like, is there any way to come off of that at all? It looks pretty consistent throughout the years, but $13,000, I'm like, has anybody done anything to check if that could be lowered?
Yes,
it
it has been the thorn in my side for 5 years. And with our high-speed internet fiber optic and with all of our phone lines and the requirements that we have for our we have to have separate landlines for our fire alarms in both businesses. It's as low as we can possibly get it.
Okay, I was just checking. And then the bookstore, I was looking, it looks like they made $1,700, maybe $1,800 last year. Is there anything in the budget to help promote our bookstore, or what are we doing with the bookstore?
Actually, there's a plan in place right now because historically, the bookstore, once you pay an employee in the bookstore, it costs us money. It's always been a loss leader for us. It has to be run by volunteers in order for it to turn a profit for us. And that's just really not doable at any given level. So once you put in salaries and payroll costs, it's always costing us money. So we've entered into an agreement with Kara where she's taking over the bookstore, and we're basically paying her right now to get our money out of the inventory, sell out the inventory that the church actually owns, and she's bringing in her own purchases and supplying the merchandise that she'll be selling. So actually, in the future, we'll flip from being our bookstore to her bookstore, and it will be generating revenue from us as she either pays us rent or tithes off of her income. However, we find it settles out once we get the transformation complete, or if she decides it's even doable for her. So we're in an exploratory phase. We have been for about the last 2 years. We were hoping to, again, a lot of things happen quicker than they did with the pandemic, kind of slowed everything down.
Right.
So we're still trying to figure out how this is going to wash out, if or not there'll be an actual gift store, bookstore, or we have it or she has it, and we're figuring that out.
Okay.
But it's our intention to not be losing money in the bookstore going forward.
Okay, because I know that they do generate an income with the drum circles and stuff, and there's a lot of people that are finding us through those events.
Exactly.
So that I think is important to
there's
acknowledge.
a value to the small group ministry that she provides through the bookstore. It is a
Yeah.
point of connection and service to our members too. So
Okay.
we're going to find a way to continue the benefits without having the cash requirements.
Okay, I think I'm good.
We've got questions online. I have a microphone, thank you, Carmen. So Sandra Kramer wants to know if the new sign is in the budget.
It's not currently in the budget. It is something that we'll probably have to do when we figure out the final design and amounts. We'll do like we did for the air conditioning replacement. We'll do for the mics that we needed. Is we'll go to the congregation and say, this is what we've all decided we're going to do. Now we have to make it manifest and happen, and we need your support to do it. So we'll probably do a specific fund drive or fundraiser to make that happen.
And then there's a question if there's any chance to comment on the change in the name of our church.
That was voted on and approved at the last meeting.
That's all I got, thank you.
Further discussion?
Any other questions?
I just have a...
Right here, Carol.
Being the person running the bookstore, is any marketing going to be done for the bookstore itself? Because it is, y'all, the bookstore is the biggest marketing tool that we have. And if you all as a congregation don't support it, y'all have to show love to the bookstore. If you can't buy things, it doesn't matter. Go on Google and give a review. Show us love through Facebook. Let people know we exist. We need help, bottom line, because the reason why Don just said he's not sure is because I'm not sure it's even profitable for me to be doing what I'm doing right now, you know? So I just want to be open and honest with everyone. If it's not supported, it can't be there. So you guys have to decide, do you want it?
And to answer your question specifically, no, how the marketing money will be used specifically has not been determined. We just want to have the ability to market the ministry.
Thank you. Any other further discussion? Yes, Vanessa. I'm sorry, Cassandra.
I'm just wondering if moving forward, maybe next year, can we get an accounting of all the things you're proposing so we can kind of look at it? I'm visual, so I can't remember even everything you said. So it'd be great to have a handout with all that on it.
Absolutely.
Would it be possible for us to read that list once more? I recognize it's a big ask. And the reason that we're asking you is because the several members of the board cannot, in and by themselves, make up the difference in these two budgets that we're proposing to you. So I would ask that you very seriously consider this, because it was difficult for us to make the decision to bring you two budgets for considerations. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, and I'll add a little bit more information as I go through this too. So as he said, staff hasn't gotten raised in a number of years. So the board wanted to, if funds are available, to give them a 3% raise, and we would look at doing that in April after we've had a few months of additional income coming in. We did in the stagnant budget, we don't have a creative director. That was something that part of Shannon's responsibilities, where she did all of everything you saw visually, a good portion of what was online, everything that was the graphic design was done by her. We do have a volunteer that's helping us right now. We may or may not need all of this $15,000 for the year to do that, but we realize it's a huge ask for the number of things that we need created every single week to be having a volunteer do it. So we want to be able to compensate someone for that and have the reliability of a paid employee or contractor. Then we're not relying on a volunteer, although we love our volunteers, but they volunteer when they can, not necessarily when we need them. So we need that reliability that comes with a paid position and the consistency of that type of work. So the advertising budget was just because we don't have right now anything done to promote the church outside of the church or on free social media. And we find areas all the time where we would love to be able to do that. So if we have the funds coming in, it's just $400 a month that we would hope that we could put into some advertising somewhere. We need to have in reserves 6 to 9 months of operating expenses. That's just any business. You as an individual should have that yourselves, so that if something happens, that you've got reserves to draw on, like a pandemic happens and we shut down the sanctuary for 6 months. So in order to do that, we want to put, as part of our goal, putting $1,000 a month into that savings so that we're ready for the next time should it happen, or if any unforeseen circumstances happen, or we get hit by a hurricane, or who knows what. But we need to build those reserves back up, even though it sounds like, oh, well, I don't need to give any money. Look, well, money they've got in reserves. That's not the way to look at prosperity and abundance. The travel expenses are merely because normally we're scrimping and scraping and not doing the things we need to, not getting out into the community, not being connected with Unity Worldwide Ministries, not bringing in the talent that we feel we should to serve your needs. So we penciled in a number of $8,000 over the course of the year to allow us to go to trainings, to participate in Unity Worldwide Ministries conventions, because just for one person to go for a week, when you start adding up airfare, hotel accommodations, food, car rental, all that to be effective, it gets up there pretty quick. So if we can have the funds in the bank before we go, we'll do, instead of trying to scrimp and scrape and trying to get there the cheapest way with the points that we have on our credit card, which is how we went to Summit. And then the tech upgrades. This is a matching grant that keeps coming up from Unity Worldwide Ministries. And if we can raise, and they'll match up to $7,500. So if we can budget in and raise and get that $7,500, the next time that comes available, then we can get $15,000 worth of upgrades for half the cost. It's a 50-50 sale. Why would we not try to bring that about? Yeah, we missed it last year, but they keep coming out, and they're committed to keep doing that in the future. One of the benefits of going to Summit, we get all behind-the-scenes information. And having board members from Unity Worldwide Ministries as one of our members too, so that helps too. And then rebranding. We only put in there $500 a month from February to June because there's things that we're going to have to purchase. Not other than the sign, we're going to have to do things like all of the pens in the pews, all of the tithe envelopes, all of those things that are professionally printed and stuff. There's some expenses to turning those over, flipping them, and saying, we are Unity of Central Florida, and we'll have it on everything and be uniform. So there's going to be some cost in that. So we added those amounts in, and that, for the whole course of the year, is very doable, we think, for $53,000.
I want to thank Michael and Reverend Don and the board.
Sunny, do you have another online question?
We've got some comments online.
Okay.
Somebody commented that there are several free newsletters in the city of Orlando that we could advertise in, and somebody else suggested that we post frequently on Instagram. I'd like to also respond to that because I'm the team lead for social media. If y'all want to help us make that happen, find me online, because we would love to be doing that, but it takes time, and we don't have anyone on staff paid to do that right now. So if you're passionate about that and you know a little something about social media, see me. We would love to post regularly online and be in all those free newsletters. We just need the time to do it. It's not a budget thing, it's a time thing.
Yes.
Thank you, Sunny. And Reverend Maggie wanted to make a comment?
Or the comment, please?
Sure, there's two. There's free newsletters we could be advertising in. And a loving suggestion is to post frequently on Instagram.
Yes, yes, and. I came to CCU from a 20-year marketing background, and I teach marketing ministry. So yes, and. Yes, there are free resources to us. However, what I have received by way of communication and outpouring from this community is that we want to be in places like Coming Out with Pride. So putting a free ad in a one-line itty-bitty thing costs money, and to put it in there for a free space is even smaller. For us to be actively advertising our presence in the community and communicating the why for people to come here does take money. I know $400 a month seems like, oh, that tips our budget, like, $5,000 this year. And consider the investment and what it does to communicate our presence and all of the rich learning that we all experience each and every day just by knowing one another. Forget the principles, forget the 12 powers, just by knowing each other and having a place of belonging. So it was my request, and the board agreed to have that money added so that I can meet your request and you can let me do some of what you hired me to do as a marketer.
Don't go away. One of the nice things about having read the bylaws is that I'm aware that any of us could say, whoa, which is what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to ask Reverend Maggie if you would please lead us in prayer before we take this vote.
Let us just take a moment. Remember our teaching from today, where we go to tap into the power of discernment, to listen and still our minds and open our hearts to hear that still small voice from within. Here we affirm that we are always truly guided with the assurance of God as our supply. We gladly accept and acknowledge our placement in the power of co-creativity. So let's just breathe for a moment in silence. Let us hold space for what is ours to do and what is the vision for CCU and where we are going. It is through the law of right action, the power of divine order, that we know we cannot fail. We step out in faith and allow the path to rise to meet our feet, because we affirm and know that it is God's great pleasure to give us the kingdom. So we experience that right here and right now, and affirm that we are open to growth. We are open to receive the abundant blessings that are in this great universe, and carry consciousness forward, elevated, and create a place of belonging for those who are searching. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. And I just want to say real quickly, your questions and comments excite me, because it tells me that you are invested, that you care, that you want to know, because normally that doesn't happen. For most years, they're just like, yeah, okay, vote for it, whatever. But it's telling me that the disconnect that we've had in the past, I think, is coming to an end. If you care and you know it's your money and you're giving and you're vested and this is your home, then yes, you stand up and you go, what about this? What about this? And why are you doing this? And tell me, and I want to be part of it. And that's what these two budgets are for. Do we stagnantly just do what we did last year and hope we get by, or do we say, here's our visionary budget and we can make this happen, and that's the one I want to vote for? So that's what we're bringing to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you both. And thank you all.
I think I totally messed up where you are.
I'm pretty messed up already. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve one of these two budgets. I will entertain a motion to approve which budget, Eric? I hear a motion from Eric to approve the visionary budget, and I heard something. I heard Kara second that motion. Luana, do you need help with their names? I think I lost my voting card among the papers. Oh, heck. All those in favor, please raise your voting card. Visionary budget. All those opposed? The visionary budget.
I just want to note that there is one opposed online. Just for the minutes, we had one
Okay.
opposed online vote.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you so much. I got to take a whoa moment for myself. The next order of business is for nominations for the 2023 Board Selection Committee. So let's see. I know that I'm expecting a nomination and acceptance of a certain person who is willing to do it this past year, who I heard might be willing to do it this next year. Do I hear a nomination for the chair of the nomination for board committee?
And
I second that nomination.
I second that emotion. I heard multiple seconds. I heard Reverend Maggie second Don's.
how do you feel
Reverend
about
Don's
that,
motion.
Maureen?
Thank you, thank you. Now, we would like to have a committee member join her. Is there anyone who would be willing to serve with Maureen Chance on the nomination committee? Thank you. Craig. I'm hearing Craig Barton is self-nominating to join the nominating committee for next year, which is really huge, and we appreciate that. So we acknowledge that, and we're waving our voting cards in appreciation. This is the committee that will help identify future board members to run next year. So thank you. Are we ready for our announcements of election results? I feel like I'm at the Oscars. I was just joking, but I am going to put my glasses on. So this is in no particular order. So our winners are, and if you're here, would you please stand? Ann Winston. Thank you. Nora Miles. Thank you. Pam Johnson, which makes Leroy Gentry our alternate. Congratulations, all of you. I look forward to serving with you this coming year. And I wanted to ask if you would please hang out just a few minutes with me and the other board members after the meeting. We're going to just meet very briefly in the Peace Chapel to talk about a few upcoming matters of business. I won't keep you long. So the next order of business is to have a Q&A with the board. And for this, I wanted to ask all our current board members, that is not those who were just newly elected, because you don't take effect right away until like we walk out of here. But to ask the 2021 board members, if you would please come forward. And this is a time of questions and answers whereby if anybody here has any questions about anything that went on at any point this year, we're here for you to address those. And we might have to call on Reverend Don again if we had any other difficult questions as well. And I'm going to put my mask back on, but give me just a moment. Carmen's got your mic covered, and Where's Sunny? We've still got Sunny online. If anyone online has any questions, anything at all that you wanted to talk about while we're here together. We're listening.
For all you do, Christy.
That was Christy. For those of you who didn't hear, she just thanked us for participating. And I want to thank all my fellow board members too for participating, for showing up, and for practicing together. Reverend Don has a question.
While everyone's looking for and formulating their questions, I want to ask, are there any of the board members who would be willing to share with us, because it lets them know the depth of work you do. What has it meant to you to have served on the board?
I'll answer that. I've been a member for about 7.5 years, and when I was asked to run for the board, I was so excited because I have a background in fundraising, and I thought, ooh, I'm going to really kick some butt and take some names, and we're going to go through the roof. And then the moment we all got elected, myself, Sonny, and Kay, COVID literally hit right when we started. And it has been a roller coaster of a ride, to say the least. And it has been very, very difficult at times because we've had to make some really rough decisions over these past 2 years. And COVID obviously had a great deal to do with that. But I can say that it has given me a greater appreciation of what it takes to run a church. It is not easy by any means at all. But the one thing that I can say about the successes that we've had is, number one, because of Don and so many wonderful people, we've seen ourselves financially through this situation that has been extraordinarily hard. And I am also very proud to say that we brought this young lady on board. So we really did a good job, so I'm just going to drop the mic.
Thank you.
I just tested negative last Thursday.
Thank you.
I can add to that, Ingrid. I have my own mic.
Oh, very good.
I feel so special with my own mic. It being on the board, I'm also saying this just because I'm hoping to inspire people to start thinking for next year. I feel way more connected to you guys. Like, people that I'd only seen came up to me and were like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Thank you for serving. And then I got to know you guys better. But I also realized just how much support the church offers, especially in a time of a pandemic. And being on the board, I got to feel much more deeply connected to that. And so I feel served by you guys because of the position I had. I felt so connected to you guys even when we weren't together in person. I'm one of the ones that watches online most Sundays because I have a little, and I just feel like I'm part of the family. So I really appreciate that. And I don't know that I would have had quite that experience had I not been on the board through this and in the trenches with Kay and Phil. So I appreciate that. And when we're done, we have lots of online questions.
Very good. Did anyone else want to comment? Kay?
It was the friendship that I felt when I took over as president from Sunny, and how I got to know each and every one of you that I have connected with as far as your strengths and your prayers and your commitment to the church. That was fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good.
Okay, we've got lots of questions. Anyone else want to speak? I don't want to. No? Good, okay. All right, let me go to the top. Here we go. Ruby wants to know if someone could talk about what was discussed in the tech music team meeting, what was decided we would do with training and serving going forward.
Sounds like me. We did have our tech team meeting. It's really our Sunday production team meeting last week. I think we had about 16 people answer the call to volunteerism. The information that was shared there is a huge leverage from my corporate background is developing bench strength and cross-training. It was devastating, to be honest. I know I put together on Sundays, but it was devastating to lose Shannon and Dave because it hurt and left the center of our ministry exposed. We found immediately all of the things that we didn't know. as it goes when someone vital to your organization leaves. And so what was discussed there is the timeline for our interim music director and the decision for our music director to be made, which is still on track for by the end of February. Grateful to Earl for being here and doing such a great job showing up. We talked about how to make Sundays run more smoothly so that we are integrating our two teams and not putting them and they against each other, but to support one another in Thursday rehearsals. So our singers, our tech team are all working in tandem with our music director, and there's no gotchas on Sundays. We still get some gotchas because it's life. The other piece that we talked about was the benefits to volunteering and what's in it for me, answering the question of what's in it for me. The need is also always great, but there is a great advantage to growing tech skills in the 21st century. So the prime example that I used over and over was my son William, who's 17, came in to be a slide operator and then learned how to help John Wine in our video production and is learning how to do live streaming. How many of you think if a 17-year-old can do it, you can do it? He can do it because he had great teachers. He had great teachers, and we're leveraging the resources in our community to support our community so that we have assurance and grace to step away on a Sunday when we need a break, to be able to be sick if that's what our body's experiencing, and to be away for renewal, for vacation, and connection with our time and with our spirit when we're not in service here. So I think that was the gist of what we covered in that strategy for that meeting. Thanks.
You're still up. The only thing you didn't touch on that they're asking about is an update on the search for a music director. Because we have an interim, but what's the
Right,
plan?
we do have an interim. So as was communicated back in October, we were going to navigate our way through the holidays. My understanding is that there has sometimes been a need for more collaboration and a diplomatic process of electing and putting our leaders in place. And that means that I need to hear from you. And Reverend Don needs to hear from you. So we have gracefully and graciously, largely in part to having Earl step in and show up, moved through the Advent season. We are currently advertising our opening that is listed with Unity Worldwide Ministries, as well as reaching out to some of our sister churches, because who knows Unity and who's available more than our sister churches. The hope that we've had a few candidates come through, and we will have an announcement for you all in the next couple of weeks. So bear with us a little longer.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. I learned more about music than I ever cared to know. Any other questions? Awesome. Cool.
Any other questions from the group here in person? Mark? Give Carmen a second to get to you. I got short legs.
Just a quick question, Sonny. How many people are joining us online today?
We had 22 at one point. We're 24 right now. But that includes me in the sound booth, so 22.
Awesome, awesome. Other comments, questions, concerns? All right. I'm going to ask Reverend. Thank you.
Is there like an initiative or something to explore the Bible, like include Bible studies in this new year, like going deep into the Bible?
All about it. I think you all have come to know me well over this last year that I am a fan of the Bible, and I love not just the story, the allegory and the parables and miracles, but to know the so what. How does it matter to me? So thank you for your suggestion and question. The short answer is yes. I needed to know. I still need to know that you want to do this with me. We can nerd out on the Bible all day long, and we can do it in a number of ways, in person and online. And we're going to be trying new class formats, again, to be available and to meet you all where you are comfortable and available. So yes, thank you.
Got comments online now.
Okay.
Lots of people saying, please nerd out. We love the Bible. There's lots of people saying, please tell Maggie and Don that we love them and we're here and we're listening. So lots of love for you guys. And then I just wanted to tag on, because I would raise my hand and ask this question, so I'm going to answer it. If you guys have classes you want us to teach, email unity@christchurchunity.net or DM us on Facebook, however you can think, like ask. Like, they don't know, we as a board don't know what you guys want if you don't tell us. And we love the communication. So that is a really open communication channel that's very underutilized. So please use it.
Thank you.
Kids. What's
Kids
happening
update?
with kids? They want to know what's happening with kids and teens ministry.
What's happening?
What's happening with the kids and teens ministry?
I'm going to assume that the question, and we all talked about assumptions in the fall, but I'm going to assume the question is more directed to when are we going to see our kids again. So we had the opportunity at a low point during our COVID numbers to have the kids participate and be in presentation of their Polar Express curriculum, and that was delightful. Someone also asked me if Reverend Alice was the creator and took the tradition of having kids in the sanctuary, and the answer is no. It is a unity tradition. It is a organized religion tradition, most oftentimes to have the children visible. The lack of visibility right now is to keep them and you all safe, because we have had different tiers of rolling out our vaccines and availabilities and the safety of for our youngsters, and some still are not, and that's okay. So we're just going to continue to allow for this to play out on the main stage and make the assessment as to when, not if, but when they will be back in service. And because of technology, and because Reverend Don and I share gray matter, we've come to know this after being at Summit, is that there is a way through technology to pipe our kids in. So we are actively working that so they will be visible on our screen and we can be blessing them and they blessing us in an exchange of virtual energy from 15 feet away. So that's an improvement. We've heard you and we're meeting you. Thank you for your suggestions. Again, we don't know what we don't know until you speak up. And the more directly you speak to me or to Don or one of these fine people, the more likely it is that you come into a priority, or we'll tell you directly, yes, and that is not a priority right now. So we can level set some expectations. But we want the kids to be here. It was a foundational principle in Unity to invoke the living curriculum, not just for them, for all of us. They just represent and embody that for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Other questions online?
No, and I told him last chance. So
All right.
I think we're good.
Can I say one thing? Oh, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Eric. No, I want the last word. Okay, so what I want to present is something that's very exciting, that is a product of people having left the ministry. We often fear people leaving. When we lost Dorothy to her third retirement, that opened space and it eliminated overhead. Then Shannon and Dave left, and that opened space and eliminated overhead. Because of that, we are operating with $60,000 less overhead in payroll. And this is the exciting part. It is through that action that we have been challenged to create a staff volunteer model. And with Walter Allen, who's probably still online, and Sunny Von Mudia stepping up, we are implementing that through dedicated service hours and specialized skills. We can continue to do that if you're willing to, if we know who you are and what you're good at and how much you're willing to give us. I want to remind this congregation that prosperity and tithing does not just come in folding money. In fact, we are the wealthiest right now in our tithing of talent and time through this ministry. So as we finish our time together and as you reflect on the talk that was presented in Sunday service this morning, see what's yours to do. See if you have a resource within you that could contribute to this ministry in a tithing manner that exercises prosperity and does an enormous part to keep our overhead down. When we say we have a volunteer dashboard, it's out there, but we are your dashboard. We are who need to know what you know and what you're willing to give. And the benefit is so, so great. So thank you for taking that into prayerful consideration.
Thank you, Reverend Maggie. Any other comments, final comments or questions? I did want to turn it back over to you then to ask you to pray us out.
I will. All right, one more time, our affirmation. We confidently embrace the activity of life, affirming God as our source and love as our guide. And we have seen that through the action of a positive vote, an alignment with a visionary budget. In doing so, we know and recognize and acknowledge that we are saying yes right here and right now to Spirit. Yes to all the abundant supply that is waiting for our taking with the universe. And yes to our responsibility to align with that truth and act accordingly in the vibration of it in each day, in each transaction, in each word we say, and we do so joyfully and carefully with the recognition that we are God speaking to God. How wonderful to honor the divine within, to acknowledge that for ourselves, and to take that truth out into the world. Knowing that this is in action right here and now, I release this word knowing that it is done and the highest and good is unfolding for everyone all the time because we are one. So we say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, everybody. Is that it?
This meeting is adjourned.